today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make your own custom texture pack. And this tutorial isn't going to be a full-blown, how to make a full texture pack with different particles and everything like that. It's just going to be how you can simply change colors and design for a beginner in texture pack making. So the first thing you're going to want to do is go to the description of this video and download two files. The first one is texture pack making file. It's a zipped up file that has what you need to make your own texture pack in it. And then the second file you don't have to download. It's a skin template for making, editing your own Minecraft skin. But that will actually be in a different video, so you don't have to download this one in this video. I'm not going to be focusing on that. So once you download your texture pack making file, you should open it up with WinRAR. WinRAR is a extracting program, and so that will also be in the description for the download. And it says there's a trial, but it just bugs you after. It doesn't actually make you buy it. So once you download that, it makes it much easier. You can you're going to open it up and you're going to see these files. It will go from achievement down to terrain.png usually. So the first thing we're going to do is show where you can edit the actual physical blocks in Minecraft file. So it's going to be terrain.png, not the terrain folder, but terrain.png, which is a file. And I'm using Photoshop. You don't have to. I even have the trial. And normally you wouldn't have this here. Let me just get that off. So it should be pretty small. Other programs that you can use besides Photoshop are like paint.net, which will be, the download will be in the description also. That's a really good program. It's almost as good as Photoshop. It includes layers and other really cool features also, and basically all you need to make a custom texture pack. So open up your terrain.png file, and you can hit Control+ to zoom in, and pretty much so you can see the pixels. Eventually you'll get a kind of grid if you're on Photoshop showing where the pixels are, but I don't really like that when I'm doing stuff like this. So you can go view, show, and then pixel grid. It's usually check. You can click that to uncheck it. So you can zoom around to the block you want to edit. Today we're actually going to be editing the bed, of all things, because lots of people, they don't want to get a whole custom texture pack, but they just want to make their bed a nice different color. So what you can do is you can zoom in on your bed pretty close. Not too close though, so you can still see what's happening. And what we want to do, normally say you wanted to change the color of the bed, someone would think, okay, you'd take your pencil tool, select, your color, so say they wanted to make their bed blue. They'd get their brush size down to 1, or, however many pixels, and they'd start, painting over. And then you get it and it's like, oh wow, that sucks. There's no shading, nothing. So what we want to do, we want to keep this nice shading that the Minecraft designers have done, but change our colors. So what we want to do is go find our tool. Photoshop, it's called rectangular marquee tool, and it'll be the first one here. You won't have to drag over, so it'll just be this one. I think on paint.net it is rectangular select. It doesn't really matter, just any rectangular select tool. So click on the pixel in one corner, and then just drag over to the other corner of the colored part of the bed. Make sure not to get any of the white part there. So now there should be what they call a marching ant selection around your bed. And you can either hit Control or Command, if you're on Mac, U, to open up this window called Hue or Saturation. Or if you don't want to do that, make sure it's still selected and go Image, Adjustments, Hue and Saturation. So now that we're here, what we can do to change the color of our bed is move this top slider to get different colors. So say you wanted a blue bed, you'd have to find the blue kind of area. So we'd do that. So that's -150. Or as you can see, the color doesn't match up with this bar here, so it says green and it's purple. So it's a bit easier if it does match up. What you can do is hit, check the box that's colorize, and then make sure the saturation is set to 50 and your lightness is set to 0. And now you can change the hue and it will match up with the sliding bar. So you can do red from orangey down to like green and then back to red. So now you can change that back. Let's do 215 and 50. So you want to remember those colors. Also, what saturation does, if you don't know, it intensifies the color depending on what you set it to. So I actually want to set that up a bit, that's a nice color, 90. And lightness, as you can probably guess, is the lightness of this. We just want to keep this at 0 usually. So yeah, you're going to want to remember these numbers. So I have 215 and 90. So you can hit OK. And then either hit Control or Command if you're on Mac, D, to get rid of your selection on the bed. Now you can make sure you have your selection tool still active, and select the other portion of the bed, which is the sides and the end of the bed. And you can select that colored part. And hit Control or Command U to open up hue and saturation again. Or again, remember, you can go to Image Adjustments, hue and saturation if you'd like. So now you can go here. You can do the same thing that you had before. So I'm pretty sure it's around this. So I had this at 90, and this was 215. There we go. And you can hit OK. Control or Command D. And now you have a different color bed, which is great. And you can do the hue and saturation trick on a lot of blocks, or you can go in and just edit them yourselves, especially with the wool. If you want to get, say you're making pixel art and you want to make wool a bit certain different colors, yeah, so that's how you can edit the actual blocks. Now if you want to save what you've done, you just hit File, Save, but I'm not going to, so I'm just going to close down this picture. And we can go back to our folder here, and the next thing we're going to be trying editing is all the mobs. So you can open up your mob folder. There should be a lot in here in the newest version of Minecraft, because they're adding a lot of mobs lately, and find what you want to edit. So I'm going to edit the zombie, which is pretty much the simplest. So it should be really tiny. You can go ahead and zoom in, and this is where you can change what you want to change. Now, sometimes when you open up files like this, it will be really weird. It won't like accept the color that you're using, and over here on Photoshop it'll say index. And so to fix that and make it like, here, I'll just show you. Even when I have a green selected, it does this weird color, and the background's weird. What you want to do is go Image, Mode, and make sure RGB color is selected. Then the background will shrink back to small squares, and it will accept your actual color. So let's make our zombie's eyes red. Let's do that. And there. So now zombies have red eyes. And this is the body of the zombie. We can put like, blood, whatever. You can add it, if you're good at graphic designing, you can do a really cool texture. So I'm just going to close this down. You can do that with all your mobs. Besides the zombie, they're all actually arranged quite differently. Like if you go into slime, it's a bit harder to edit because it's laid out differently. So you can get guides on those textures though. So now we're going to go back by double-clicking the little 2-dot folder, and we can find where we can edit our items in-game. So swords, tools, like food, like apples and stuff in the game. So you'd think it would be in the item folder, but actually it's not. This is where you can get your, like what chests look like when they're opened. That's also in the terrain folder, if you're wondering. And same with doors, boats, stuff like that. But if we want the actual items, what we're actually going to go into is the GUI folder. And if you're wondering, GUI is graphical user interface. And so we're going to go into this folder. And this is where we can edit a lot of stuff. I'm just going to show you, so you want the crafting. This is what it will look like when we're doing crafting. So if you're in a rush, you can just, paint bucket the background. Now you have like a red crafting table area, something like that. So that's one thing you can do in here. But the main thing is the items again. So you can find the file that says items.png and go ahead and open that up, and it should be nice and small. So you can control plus or command plus to zoom in and find your items. So here my goal is to be changing the diamond axe to be a different color. So there's two ways I can do this. I can take a kind of the matching colors but different, so see how this is a dark kind of turquoise. I can make it get a dark red and just do this by hand, all around, and then change it again like so. This is like a light diamondy blue, and I would do that around, or I can go all the way back and I can do the hue and saturation trick again. So there's two ways I can do this. I can use my rectangular marquee tool and select all the pixels. So you'd select a couple, then hold shift to add to your selection and do that. Or you can find this, the magic wand tool, and hold it until the one box opens to the right of it. Drag over and then let go on the quick selection tool. And your brush will be pretty big now. So to decrease it, you can either go here and, you can hit the left bracket, the left pointy square bracket button to go all the way down. You can go pretty small, or you can just do 1 pixel. But it won't select 1 pixel at a time. It'll select the general area. It's pretty good at separating colors and lines. So once you have your only colored area selected, you can go ahead and do that same thing again. So Control or Command U and change your hue and saturation. You can do like a green and things like that. When you're doing diamond tools, you actually don't have to use the colorize option because it will start at the center, which is actually the diamondish color. So it will pretty much match up with the bar. So let's do like a green. You can go ahead and change your saturation, which will take out some of the shading detail. But say you want a lot of the saturation, you can turn your lightness down, and you can get different kind of colors. But it's better just to go with 0 and less saturation. So just change this around. There, so now you have a green thing. You can do Control or Command D. And so you have a green axe. And you can do that with other things also. The only exception is when you're doing it for armor. In-game, the armor will look different when you're holding it, but actually wearing it on your character and what you see on your character will actually not be what you change it here. So if you put red lines on it, that's not what it'll look like on your character. You have to go back into another folder. So I'm going to close this down. And this is the last one I'm going to talk about, which says armor. And this is where you can get all your armor on, your armor texture. So I'm going to go into gold. And this is where you can change what it actually looks like on your character. And I don't know the full template for this, but all I do know is that this area here is the helmet area. And so you can change your helmet. And this area I think is the chest piece. So say you were back in that that file. Let me go back there. And say you wanted to put an amulet on the gold armor, which is a pretty cool thing to have. Say you had, you know, like dark gray, kind of as a band down here. And then you got a red, did a big, like, jewel there on your character. So that'll show up in the game when you're holding the armor, but if you want that to show up here, you have to add that here. So I would take the same colors that I used before, I would write them down, and, you know, do something like this. And then add the amulet actually in game. And so now that would show up on my character. So you can close these guys down, or you can save them. And then the rest I'm going to leave for you guys to figure out yourself, or look up on the wiki for which things do what. You can pretty much figure it out yourself. Also, the little icon in Minecraft when you're selecting your texture pack, you can edit in here. That's just another thing really quick. Not too important. But that's the logo for your texture pack pretty much. So yeah, thanks for watching. Remember to comment, like, and subscribe.